I don't know, mine's not as fun.
And then if you have questions on this,
Look at it. If you hang hard, you have to be out of the way. I look up there and I'm like, what's that? Sitting next to Chris. Yeah, this is what all the mirrors So you're in the short. Yeah, it looks like the result of the review process. I mean, these are the I see a lot of this. This is one of the ones the way I'm looking at that long that because I think about it in context of different systems.
yeah, well, no, yeah,
So much
I don't see that.
I think it's like, I think it's pretty good. Yeah. Because you can get what you want from it. Maybe pretty quick. Yeah, this is well, I guess it's really not. I look at it like I don't know what else they would do. Okay.
Yeah.
General Assembly, yeah.
So, Tracy and it's in the bylaw.
Here, I have two agendas for some reason.
They're not going to be the ones to say about
No, just for you. Language.
finance.
Well, only to the extent they mention.
That's interesting that it has that carbon. Beat up the sun. Good, are you? I see we're working on the internet today. On the website.
What happens?
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could get your attention, please.
some about,
Leave it at
If I went to my city hall and I forgot to check it.
Oh, really? Going there?
That was my
Okay.
first
Yeah.
CC, can you hear me?
All right, we're getting started.
Hello, testing.
We hear you.
Good. The call to order the Administrative Committee meeting for September 9th, 2016. Do we have any board member concerns that would like to be addressed this morning?
Nope, not here.
Seeing none. Do we have any approved travel or compensation to board members?
No,
And no out-of-country travel, I assume?
no.
excuse me.
Okay, let's get to the meeting.
Dr. Bird,
Yes,
I think the clerk,
Yes, Barbara.
Nancy is letting us know that we have board member consultants that need to be approved. Those are, who are the two I've forgotten? Thomas Fuentes
and Matt Holder.
and Matt Holder, and it's just a reallocation of funds between the two of them. So staff would recommend approval on.
okay. Sure. Can I get a motion on that?
Move approval?
Second. Can we
Any
call the roll?
opposite? Oh, we have to do roll call, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's tricky, Barbara Bear.
State road.
Councilmember Benoit,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burt.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, that motion passes. Moving to item 5, the discussion of Southern California membership in the Southern California Association of Government.
So Dr. Burke, good morning. I believe it was at the July meeting, Vice Chair Benoit wanted us to look into becoming a member of what it would cost to become a member of SCAG. So staff did look into it. To become a member is basically going to cost about $10,000. We typically, every year, we do sponsor the General Assembly for $7,500. With the $10,000 cost of membership, we do get a couple of things. We get to choose one of the policy committees that we want to be a member of. That is either the Transportation or the Community Economic and Human Development Committee or the Energy Environment Committee. Staff cannot fill the position, so it's going to have to be one of the elected governing board members here from AQMD to be on that regional council. We do get a complimentary registration at their General Assembly and a couple of their other conferences, the Economic Summit, the Housing Summit, and the Regional Conference. And we also get to participate at their state and legislative meetings. So staff is providing that information, and we're willing to do whatever the committee would like and the board would like us to do.
I have a couple questions. The first is the economic question. I'm in favor of this, so don't get confused. Does that mean that we don't have to pay the $3,500 in sponsorship?
Well, yes, but we will not be able. It's the $7,500 actually, and we will not be able to have a booth at the General Assembly, the annual General Assembly. If we want to, we would have to pay the additional amount.
Okay, well, we can make that determination when they send us the sales material. The other question I have was for Mr. Weiss. We received, which one of the COGs did we receive the letter from about Supervisor Nelson?
That was the SCAG. Orange County.
And was that ever resolved?
Well, no, it isn't. Not yet.
Oh, okay. So if we did purchase this, who would be the eligible board members to be appointed to this?
So Dr. Burke, it would be any of the elected board members from either the city or the counties. They have to be elected, so none of the appointed governing board members would be eligible to be on the regional.
You mean none of the electeds from ours would be eligible?
No, none of the appointed members on our governing board, being yourself, Dr. Parker, or Dr. Liu, would be eligible. All the other members on our governing board would be eligible to be the member.
I want to be on that, so, no, I was just kidding. I was just kidding. I think it's a great idea. I think it should be something we should have done a long time ago. I can't imagine us not doing something like this, but I'll wait to hear what my colleagues have to say if there's any objection to it. Do I have any comments from any of the CCA?
Well, okay.
If not,
Well,
I'll accept the motion.
I think it's a good idea, and I'll make the motion to
Okay,
be added.
thank you.
I'll second, and
We have a motion, and we have a second. Would the secretary call the roll? The
Councilmember
clerk
Mitchell?
call the roll, I'm sorry.
Councilmember Mitchell?
Aye.
Dr. Parker?
Aye.
Dr. Burke?
Aye,
Motion passes 4-0.
okay. Mr. Marley,
Good morning, Chairman Burt, committee members. This item is basically an update as to where we are with our website improvement project. Just a little recap, the board approved the recommendations of the contractor at the May committee meeting, and the full board approved it at the June committee meeting. We entered into a contract amendment in mid-June and proceeded with implementing the recommendations. The first part was to finalize the content of the homepage and the navigation that goes along with the homepage. We're basically to that point now where they've done a lot of wireframing and worked through an oversight committee that was made up of a lot of members of sister agencies that have recently gone through some website upgrades and provided some valuable insight as to how we should proceed. And so they're to the point now where they've presented their draft final website and their navigation and how they've broken up all of our content to fit under those navigation items. I've kind of slowed down the project a little bit to get buy-in from staff and our executive council. I've recently spent the last 2 or 3 weeks showing it to internal staff who develop content for our site, and also to executive council to make sure there's a comfort level there. And so I thought I'd bring it to executive council today just to let you know where we are, mainly because, to point, the contract amendment that was approved in June is a $117,000 contract, $118,000, and we've spent about $20,000 to this point. And before I go spending the rest of the $100,000, I wanted to make sure everybody was comfortable where we are right now, so that if we start spending the rest of the $100,000 and have to backtrack, it would be money wasted. So I wanted to kind of present where we are. So basically, the homepage looks like this. Did you bring up the larger version? What they've had, and it's a homepage that will be scrollable, and the actual, if you're.
did we get that on?
And I just sent him a text.
Pardon?
We don't have that here.
It's here.
Oh, you don't say. Okay, did you get it should be in the package that was sent to you. But basically.
I was trying to figure out what that package was for. It was 3 pages. I got it yesterday.
I think it's, we should see it.
And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
there's a unreadable
Okay.
form as part of the package, so I sent out a package with that was more readable. I don't know if everybody got it, but you can kind of look at it from either place. The web page is scrollable, so if you're on a typical PC that's out there in the world, the first thing that would come up, the screen would fill up about through the latest news items, and then you'd have to scroll down for more information, and you could scroll up or down from there. The things that the consultant thought would be good to put on the homepage were the top part that has some hot topic items, like maybe the Exide might be up there, Aliso Canyon might be up there, etc. And the top part would scroll through those items slowly, and then you could choose one of those items if you wanted more information on them. The next item would be the alert, where we'd have the no burn alerts, or if there were any other alerts like odor alerts or things like that. Currently on our homepage, the alert box only pops up when there is alert and becomes invisible when there are no alerts. This box would stay up, and if there are no alerts, it would tell you that there are no alerts today, and it also tells you how many alerts there might be if there's more than one alert, and list them in that box.
Chris, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What is the most popular site on our website?
Most popular page.
The most popular page, the rules is a popular page, and the find application are hit quite heavily.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
The find
I'm sorry?
application, it stands for Facility Information Detail. It's a web application that you can use to get information on permitted facilities that you can drill down to get.
Right.
And then the
Right.
rules page. Rules page is the other.
And what was the second one?
The rules page and that Facility Information Detail application.
I see.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that indicate to you that those are institutional users? I mean, people who are looking for permit information?
Either that or looking to see if facilities are in compliance with our rules. Sometimes a lot of lawyers go to that page too, I would imagine. And that was the focus of the development of the navigation bars, was to use Google Analytics to highlight what should be on those navigation bars at the top. So you can find the rules pretty quick that way. It's the second item. The air quality is another one that's hit quite often.
Do you receive, who in your department receives complaints about the website?
Complaints about the website could go either to two people. One would be the web editor. We have a place on our website that people can send information to web editor, or there's another place where people can send to just web inquiries. And web inquiries gets a lot of, not a lot, but gets emails, and that's handled by the Public Affairs Division. So,
And what area are the most inquired about or complained about?
I haven't looked, but I do know recently, but I do know that people question a lot about finding information on our website, on our current website.
Here's my basic question. I think that you've improved this thing 1,000%. Okay, but the one thing that is of interest to me is that the layman, the guy from 49th and 2nd Avenue, who comes to our website, who wants to find out something about his neighborhood or about some facility in his neighborhood, is this site going to be user-friendly for him? Because when I started here, I was that guy. You know, and I was stumbling through the website, and I would spend hours trying to find something, and that's what the basis of this started from probably 2 decades ago.
We hope so, Dr. Burke. The consultant designed this with that in mind. You can look at the programs at the bottom of, we have residential programs, business programs, and local government programs where some of that might fall under, but a particular neighborhood guide looking for information from their neighborhood would, unless there's content up there, they could go to the find application to look at what facilities are in their neighborhood, or complaints. I don't know if you can actually find complaints in the neighborhood, but there's a place where you can find complaints information. And also we're working, what Dr. Benoit highlighted in the last goals and objectives was to use GIS more to kind of highlight those information. And we have a section on our webpage for air quality maps and other maps that we're developing more as we go forward, that kind of information will feed into.
Excuse me, Chris, can I ask the question? Is there a way to access, because it's very difficult to see on the printed material, and Dr. Burke can't see it on the screen, but can we actually
Tell
go
them you
to
have
the-
it here. I just need to know what page we're on,
What page are you on? Maybe I could find it here.
because I've got it on the laptop.
I'm on page 3 at the moment of the presentation.
It's not numbered. Ask him what it says.
What is it? See,
Homepage.
our presentation's not
Titled
up.
homepage.
What is the heading?
Yeah,
Title
exactly.
What did he say?
What Dr. Parker said.
What is the heading? Is it primary navigation, homepage,
It's homepage.
secondary navigation,
Homepage.
homepage?
I think the question Wayne's
Yeah, well, we
asking,
can't see homepage.
I'd like to ask them to
Homepage is
answer
too
this.
small.
Mr. Nastri was correct. We can't see that.
Yeah, is this on a website somewhere? I mean,
Can
it'd
we
be
go-
really easy to, you said you FedExed a package to everybody, and I don't go to my city hall every day, but a website to go to or a link for the internal?
I'll make
Would be
sure.
helpful.
I'll make sure it gets there if it's not there now. I'm not sure if it was.
But
there,
can
it's
we
on-
right
it's,
now go to the intrasite to show a demo?
to the
Because it hasn't been developed, it's only a design.
it's only a PowerPoint presentation. It's only
Okay.
an image.
frame,
I
wire
understand.
frames. Okay,
Thanks.
but it is on the agenda, so that if you go to the agendas of our website and pull up admin committee for today, the presentation would be part of that. And if you bring up the presentation, you could maximize it or make it bigger or smaller, if you can do that. Yeah. So it is on the web. There it is.
Dr. Burke, if I may ask a few questions too. And to the
Sure.
respect of the doctors in the room, Chris, I don't have a doctorate, so. Well, you said Dr. Benoit, so that's not me.
Okay. Sorry.
So, a couple things that I see when I look at this is, and you hit on it, the other thing that people look at is air quality, and they're looking for air quality in their area. I've always felt that it would be nice somewhere to still have the map, and since we have developed a scrolling page, even if it's at the very bottom, I think it'd still be valuable if you just scrolled all the way to the bottom. Here's a nice big map like you used to get on the old website. I think that would be something I'd like to see personally. My colleagues think that's great. And then that map in the future could be that GIS map that you could just click on it and launch right into that GIS app. Rather than, Dr. Burke, you hit on it. If you want to look up what's in your neighborhood, you got to know the name and the address of the facility and find. It's really sort of difficult to look it up. What I'm looking forward to is a GIS, type of application where a map is all you need, and you can just zoom in on a map and see those facilities around you, see the complaints maybe even around you. Maybe if there's some legal information that we can't put out, I understand, but at least the facilities and the permanent information of what's in your neighborhood can be on a map. And if I scroll all the way to the bottom, I get just my regular map that shows all the pertinent data for the district. And when I click on that, it takes me into where I can now even see, if I zoom in even further to my neighborhood, I can see the actual facilities. I think that'd be a great addition to this. But those are my comments for the front page. Did you have any?
I think that's a really good idea, that you have a map, and right away you can see if there's, you see, where the air quality is moderate, where it's bad, where it's good, and that's right there. And then you're right, this makes it easier for the layman out there to to see
Wait a minute.
immediately what's happening in my neighborhood.
For me.
Yeah, even for me.
Right.
But I think what you presented is a vast improvement
Yeah.
over what we had. A lot of the stuff on the original website is so obscure, like library, you know, you have to go to library and what's in the library?
Right.
You know, I mean, you don't, it's not immediately apparent that, you know, you might find rules in the library or meeting agendas. So this is so much better, but I think there's still room for improvement, especially with the GIS capability.
Sure.
And right now, there's the current air quality map and today's forecast map, and there's ways to get to those maps, but it's not right on the front page. You're thinking it should be right on the front page?
I think so,
So-
because not everybody lives in Diamond Bar. And that's,
Gotcha.
every time I go to the website now, that's all I see is Diamond Bar, and I know a lot of us are here regularly, some of us more than often we'd like to, but that's not where we all live. You know, we all have very large jurisdictions, and I think it'd be nice to be able to see that global picture again of, hey, the Coachella Valley's going tilt, but everything else is fine. It's nice to know what's going on.
Gotcha.
You know, for me, when I come off the hill in Big Bear, what is going on right in front of me? Is this really that unhealthy, or is this the normal soup? You know, what is this? And so even if it's all the way at the bottom, you know, since we're doing a scrolling site, I know it's the new in thing right now. It was the opposite of what was in 10 years ago, but whatever. I think down at the bottom, you go all the way to the bottom, here's your nice, big, beautiful map again, like what Judith is looking at right now.
Well, there is, on our existing website, you know, there's the little place where you can pop up the map right away.
Right.
Right.
And that's on there too, but
That's on.
It's
the-
on there with, along with this temperature gauge that shows you what's going on, this circle thing.
Right.
But I'm wondering if there's any sort of physical difficulty in designing a web page like that. I mean, that's for
It
the
just gets
experts.
down into the real estate and how much space you're taking on and how much you wanna scroll. I mean, you can have a web page that scrolls on forever. There's nothing keeping you from doing it. It's just we're trying to make it so it's not cluttered and you know, new looking. And the old map we had was kind of older and looked older. So, but it was still useful.
Well, and I think when we get into that newer GIS map, it will have a newer feel to it, and that
Right.
will be the map ultimately I'd like to see on
Right.
that, would be
Right.
that newer GIS map with the ability to see our air quality and then zoom in and actually see facility details as well.
Right.
So,
So
Okay.
the other thing, let me mention this, that you wanna make it easy to navigate. Like on Nows, I just went to the map, but I had trouble getting from, on the existing website.
Existing, okay.
It goes to a new window in your Safari or whatever browser you use. You wanna make sure that you can hop back to the home page from
wherever you were.
From wherever you are, because, you know, that,
Okay.
just make sure that kind of navigation, jumping around is easy to do and it isn't complicated.
Okay.
What makes my heart sing about this is that, number one, everybody's saying that the website is better. And number two is that my colleagues have dialogue on this, because when I started on this, it was like Chris Marley and I were going to war, and it was just the two of us. And it was like, you know, who's going to kill who first? But it's come a long way, Chris, and I'd like to congratulate you on where you're at this moment.
And we hope to continually improve it, Dr. Burt, so we're always struggling.
Okay, great.
I have a couple
Great.
more. I have
Great.
one more comment, if I may. Looking at the calendar page.
Sure.
And Chris, this is something I brought up before, but maybe I'm just missing, or maybe it's just not on this view. Is there some way to tie this calendar to my calendar at home in Outlook, or my Gmail calendar, or other? I know a lot of other internet calendars. You can actually click a link and then bring that into your own Google Calendar, so that, you know, I actually can see these items popping up on my devices.
That's one thing that we asked the consultant to do, and we're hoping that that's
I
there.
was hoping that little button would be there as a demo, so I would know that you're working on it.
I
That's,
see.
since I didn't see the button, I had to ask. Okay.
Gotcha. The next page is just present the actual navigation that on the top of the home page of the navigation bars that the consultant is recommending we have 2 navigation bars. One is more for the organization and administrative functions of the agency, and the next one is for the primary content of the agency. So there's 2 navigation bars there. One thing I wanted to point out on one of the navigation bar, we're calling it the secondary, but it's really the not secondary, but we have something on the right that we are going to give so that people can say, hey, if I want to find this, is it listed here? And so that we can add things daily as to what people are looking for.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, and so that we can, if there's hot topics or things that come up that are important for a month, we can add it to that list, and people can find it there pretty quickly once they get used to our website. And then finally, I wanted to present the calendar, which since the calendar was brought up by the stakeholders in the first calendar audit, we actually have been working on implementing this calendar ahead of doing the rest of the website. So this calendar is more than just a calendar. We're calling it a calendar of events, so that it will show you the current month and the meetings that are happening this month. But then on the right of the actual calendars, it will show you what those events are. And from this one calendar page, you can be able to click on the agenda from there. You can be able to click on a webcast from there. So from where our current website, you would have to go to the calendar and find what's happening, and then go to separate pages to find the agenda, and go to a separate page to find the webcast, etc. You can now find it all in one place. And then you'd be able to search for events, or you'd be able to filter on events and things like that. So this is nearing completion. I don't know if the link to the other devices is there, but this is something we may be able to implement in the next month or so, because it will fit within our current web structure as well as fit in with our future web structure. So this is something I would like to implement on a faster time frame, because it was important to a lot of the stakeholders when we held the initial audit. So that's kind of where we are today.
Chris, I have 2 questions.
Yes, Dr. Parker?
One, we started talking about this before, and one of the things that at our meetings, committee meetings, I voiced some very big concerns about, and that was the check before you burn. Now, I've looked at this, and obviously I'm having problems reading it because of the type of, is not very clear and it's very small, but I have not been able to find a check before you burn icon or anything of that nature that would be here. And secondly, when I look at the calendar, it says title of page in English, but then right after that it starts everything else in Spanish, and then the rest of it is in English. So I beg pardon?
This is just a mock-up in a wireframe, Dr. Parkin. So they just.
Well, I wanted to make sure that we didn't. That this is very confusing for someone who would be trying to look at something, and I think it really that's not the way that the grammaticians basically state that we should differentiate between English and a foreign language, whether or not it's Spanish or French or whatever it may be in this kind of format, because it's very confusing. It should be separated with some kind of delineator, or otherwise you're going to lose some people, because when I first started reading, I said, oh, this is the Spanish version, and then I started looking down below, it goes into English. And I didn't know if this is what the people were proposing to us or whatever, but those are my 2 comments.
Thank you, Dr. Parkin. And this is just filler words. It wasn't meant to be Spanish or English.
Well, obviously, since I'm not a proficient, I took German in school, but don't ask me why a black guy was taking German, back in the 60s instead of Spanish in California. But that's what I did.
Actually, Dr. Burke, it's actually Latin.
Yeah, it's not even Spanish.
Oh, it's Latin.
You tried to choose a dead language.
None of us
I knew
can
it
read
was
it. Don't feel bad. None of us have any idea what's going on in that text, but it's just filler text.
I hear what you're saying, Dr. Parker, okay.
Okay, all right, okay.
Okay, so we plan to proceed forward then if there are no super things, and I've heard all your comments and we'll take those into account.
I have one comment. I don't know how we do this, but, you know, you showed us the calendar page, which is gonna be pretty important. And when we go to the navigate your homepage, the only way you're gonna find the calendar page is to tap on news and events, then the drop-down menu will show you a calendar page. I'm just wondering, is there a place to maybe highlight the calendar page more predominantly than you have to go to a drop-down menu?
How about just a little calendar icon right to the right of resources? Could we do that?
Calendar,
Just the
Just a
squares.
small
Just have
little
the squares.
classic calendar.
Then all you have to do is tap on that and
Hopefully the
you get
artist
to the
won't get too
calendar
offended.
page. I think that would be an improvement, especially where you said everybody uses the calendar and looks for the calendar.
okay,
But I think that as we move forward, we can do some individual presentations to the board members and staff before a full beta rollout.
sure,
And then this way we can get a better feel for it.
for how it's gonna function.
But conceptually is what you're trying to present to
Correct.
us today.
Correct.
And I think we've heard a lot of good ideas, but as we progress, I think we can sit down with key
With-
individuals and get
Feedback.
more
and
feedback.
polished, yes.
So you have our commitment to do that.
Okay,
So that's basically where we are today, Dr. Burke. It's that.
thank you very much for the presentation. We'll move on to item 7.
Dr. Burke, the purpose of this item is to inform the committee that there's approximately $22 million in a fund that has been paid by the refineries pursuant to Rule 1118. Rule 1118 requires the refineries to pay into the fund if they exceed annual limits on flaring. The rule states that the money is a mitigation fee, so the money needs to be used to reduce emissions like those created by flaring or the adverse effects of those emissions. In the past, mitigation funds have been used to fund monitoring at the refineries. They could be also used to fund emission reduction programs or respiratory health-related projects. The board resolution adopting Rule 1118 directs the staff to cooperate with representatives of impacted communities and the source of the release, which is the refineries, when developing proposals. With this in mind, staff is proposing to conduct community workshops, much like the workshop that was recently conducted in Torrance to get community input on the use of ExxonMobil settlement funds. Following the workshops, we would come back to the board with requests to release RFPs based on the input we received from the community. Before going forward with that effort, though, we wanted to get your input.
Do I have any comments from my colleagues?
I have one question. Go ahead.
Ladies first, Ms. Mitchell.
It's just that as it does say here, that the funds are to develop air quality improvement projects with representatives of the communities impacted and the source of the release. So I guess what needs to be done when we look at the funds is what was the source of those funds as well, and what projects, because those funds that would be used for the impacted community. I just want clarification on that.
So the pollutants, the primary pollutant here is SO2, which has broad regional effects.
Mhm.
So I don't know that it would be necessary to go back and tie funds to particular events. So I think we have that information, but I think you could look at this as a pot of money that can be used to fund projects in the areas near the refineries.
Why are we doing this?
This was brought up because of the Torrance refinery releases and the utilization of the $2.7 million. And the question came up, there were additional funds in the 1118 pot from Torrance Refinery. And the question that the community had raised once they had learned about the other funds were those funds also going to be utilized within the community? And at the time, we had to make sure that the funds could be utilized. Part of the concern was that they had to have a commensurate reduction in SO2 or in SOx. And what General Counsel just explained was that it doesn't necessarily have to be tied to the SO2 aspect, but in the broader sense could be utilized within the community on a variety of other projects.
I've never heard any discussion in the past 24 years that these funds have to be utilized in any specific manner. It was at the discretion of the district and in any location. So if you're talking about, let me finish. If you're talking about the penalty money that's from that particular incident, that's one thing. But if you're tying the hands of the district on all penalty funds in the future, I think that's a very slippery slope.
Dr. Burke, a couple of clarifications. One, these aren't penalty funds. They're amounts paid by the refineries into a fund, a Rule 1118 mitigation fund, when they exceed their annual SOx limit,
I got it.
Rule 1118.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
I have a,
Dr. Parker?
what I've heard you say now is two different situations. One, it's for excess emissions of SOx.
Yeah.
For flaring, primarily due to flaring. And they report and said, we flared so many cubic microliters or whatever it may be of SOx over a year's period of time, and therefore, based on whatever the formula is, they have to pay into a particular fund for that excess.
Right.
Now, that's for SOx. Then they pay into a fund. How much money do we usually collect? Does anybody know how much money have we been collecting average per year from the refineries for this excess flaring?
Sure, Dr. Parker, this is Michael O'Kelly. This rule's only been in play as far as from a monetary perspective for about 6 years. We have 22 million. If you average it out, it's about $3 million, $4 million per year.
Have we spent any money out of that, Michael?
There's been about $1.5 million has been spent out of that fund.
And what was that spent for?
LiDAR equipment, field services, monitoring at a couple of refineries.
Was it in the geographic area of the emissions?
They were specifically used at the time at a refinery facility. I'm not sure which refinery it was.
Okay.
But for 6 years, all of the money has been sitting there. And now we're talking about spending all of those dollars for some of these kind of services, or what are we proposing? What are we voting on? What are you asking us to vote on?
Dr. Party, I just want to specify, just looking at the numbers, out of 22 million, 13 million of it has been here less than 6 months. So there was, as you look at aging of funds, the fund had a couple million in it, maybe 2 to 3 million for the first 3 to 4 years of its existence. And then just over the last 24 months, there's been an additional $13–14 million. So
And it came from the Torrance Refinery, the
Yes.
bulk majority.
Right.
yes, from ExxonMobil.
Right.
So I'm open to a motion from any of my colleagues on this item.
So I'll make the motion. The motion is to have town hall workshops like we had for the 2.7 million, and to have town hall workshops such as those to determine how the money under 1118 would be spent. So I'll make that motion.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Benoit,
Hold on, we need some credit.
What?
So we need, how much of the money are we spending? All of it? or-
All of it. I mean, well, I guess, okay, let you do it.
I was just going to suggest that that pool of funds are available, and dependent upon the response to the request for proposals and suggestions by staff, you may decide that you want to spend all of it, you may decide you want to spend a portion of it. That'll be, I think, your discretion, but what you're voting on is having those funds available to utilize within the community.
Aye.
So we're not voting on a specific amount to be spent right now?
No, no,
Okay.
we're voting on a process, basically.
Right. Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burke,
Aye.
motion passes 4-0.
Okay, Mr. Weiss, your favorite subject?
Yes, Dr. Burke, this is to request $500,000 for environmental litigation, which includes the SoCal gas litigation, World Logistics Center, and the lawsuit brought by environmental organizations challenging the reclaimed shade.
Where do environmental organizations get $500,000 to fund lawyers?
Well, that was one of several lawsuits, Dr. Burke. We've spent about $90,000 on that particular lawsuit.
Was that an answer to my question?
I'm not an expert on fundraising by
By
environmental
Because
organizations.
Yeah, but, it doesn't seem strange to you that these people who come to talk to us in little green T-shirts have $500,000 for lawyers?
I'm not sure that's the same
Yeah.
group.
Yeah, not the same group, Dr. Burke?
Well, okay, but somebody, it always costs us $500,000, $1 million, whatever. I'm wondering where the other side is getting all this money.
Well,
We hire more expensive lawyers than they do.
That's part of it.
one thing I'd like to point out, Dr. Burke, is that we generally win our lawsuits against the environmental organizations, so.
Yeah, it's because Clark just said, because we hire the most expensive lawyers. But yeah, I would hope with what we're spending that we're winning, but, okay. Can I get a motion to, Dr. Parker wants to comment.
I wanted to say, Mr. Weiss, would you please call me after the meeting, please? And I'll move this item.
No, you can't move it after you spoke.
Oh, okay.
Would somebody like to move the item?
I'll move the item.
I'll second. You want to keep those
We
lawyers.
noticed that Vice Chair Benoit looked like he was holding his nose when he moved the item.
Well, I'd like to make one comment. As a city council member, we sit on the dais a lot, and we have these lawsuits come through our city halls, and we regularly, the plaintiff is not us, it's the developer, and the developer has to settle because they want to get their project moving forward. And we all know that if you settle one, 3 more come. So that's how a lot of the money is raised. It's the CEQA lawsuits that continue to perpetuate the system, where one CEQA lawsuit is won by one environmental group, now they've got the money to go hire attorneys to file 3 more lawsuits. So that's how we see the money, at least at the city level, coming back. I don't know if that's your experience, Judith, but no, I know in our city, that seems like the same attorney's there every time, and the second he wins one, he's got 3 more. So anyhow.
Yeah. Okay. Is that been your experience, Kurt?
We see the same people over and over.
Yeah, okay. So it's probably the same deal. Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Benoit,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burke.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Mr. O'Kelly?
Good morning, Dr. Burke, committee members. I'll be quick. I've got 5 items in a row here that are of an administrative nature. So the first item is requesting authority to execute a 3-year contract with Siemens for the emergency management system of the building. It's about $3,000 per year. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I'll take all 5 items at one time. How's that?
I'll move the items.
Second.
All 5 items.
Second.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Councilmember Benoit,
Aye.
Councilmember Mitchell,
Aye.
Dr. Parker,
Aye.
Dr. Burke.
Aye.
All motions.
Are there any questions? Are there any questions for Mr. Nastri on the governing board agenda, the October governing board agenda?
What day is it?
The board meeting's on October 7th.
Oh, okay.
It's in Riverside.
Kidding.
I'm gonna come by your house and get you, Vice Chair.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Is there any public comment there in CCA?
None here, Dr. Burke.
None here.
Okay, is there any public comment here? There's none here. So that concludes the administrative committee meeting for today.
Mr. Weiss,
I will-
Mr. Weiss.
Yes, I'll call you.
Okay, thank you.
Can't laugh at yourself and what are you laughing at?
I'm the funniest person I know.
I knew it was very bad, and I called my board assistant the night before, and she had, so she was mental, it wasn't that. And then around noon, 1 o'clock, she called me with tears on it. Right. I don't remember a normal thing, it was just complete. At least there was no major thing that we found that was really being yelled at. Okay. Yeah, right, that whole part of the